What are the top 5 mistakes that first timers make on their first Ironman? I thought long and hard about this. Almost 20 Ironmans experience plus coaching for 2 decades. Narrowed down to these 5, which might evolve and change with time. And it's not a duplicate of the beginner 70.3 video I did. I urge you to go and watch that because they carry over to the distance that we're going to talk about. But I really hope you get quite a lot of value from this and learn more evolving from my other videos around heat, hydration, and nutrition, which is a massive area. I'm not going to touch on that in this video. It's just experience and some things that you really need to think about when you take away the content from this. So thanks and hope you enjoyed. The first mistake I'm going to dive into today is leading up to the race, the pre. The following 3 are the mistakes I find during, and then wait for the last one because it's not what you expect. First and foremost, probably one of the most important topics of discussion and the most overlooked from lack of experience, not the best advice being given, and pressure from friends and family and deadlines. Overcooked, not undertrained. What does that mean? When we arrive at the start line of a big day like an Ironman and your first Ironman outing, if you are overtrained, tired and fatigued, your body will not respond like it has in the last 8 weeks in training, where you think you're firing on all cylinders and you come away from that race wondering why your power was low, your time in inverted commas was not potentially what you'd expected or planned, or used best bike split to navigate aerodynamics and course conditions and weather. And you left scratching your head and potentially blaming others, coach, partner, work, and yourself. My best advice, and I learned the hard way, coach and athlete, if you're unsure, you're better off always, if you speak to very experienced coaches, to arrive slightly undertrained, not overcooked, because the day itself you need to build into pace management, which we'll touch on later. And if you're cooked on arrival from travel, especially most of the European or North America races require a lot of travel, not even factoring in the heat of Kona, the heat of Texas, the European summer. When you are a little bit overstretched and overreached, functional overreaching, your body in the heat cannot perform. That sensation of not being able to push the power on the heels, maintain a constant heart rate, or just that lackluster of forward motion, that flow that you get at 80, 85 RPM on the bike, in the TT bars if you've got a TT bike, and you're just effortless. Only did that happen to me personally a few times, and I'm so happy to say this and admit this, my last proper outing in 2022 in Kona, I just felt strong and in control on that bike leg all the way out and all the way back, to a point where I was actually pushing harder on the way back after sort of 140, 150 Ks. And you could argue you would want to hold back there, but actually I was just in such a good mental and physical state because I hadn't arrived super cooked. I'd watched the guys in the build-up leading into the week and the race week doing the Harvey stretch, the 120, the 140K rides, and they all performed way lower than they expected, and of course potentially weren't acclimated properly for the heat. So you really need to understand this. When you're training well, 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out, the pressure's off because you're so far away. But what happens, athletes get 4 weeks out and they start panicking. Extra miles, extra junk, normally running. And then of course the niggles start to set in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And then you lose consistency. Your confidence goes, your evidence is out the window come race week, and you arrive on the start line overcooked and really not confident. So one of my top tips, it's very hard, and this is where you need some guidance around this area. What is enough and what is too much? Moving into the actual race itself, 3 mistakes. I mean, my list is super long, but I had to really think, and this list might change as I evolve in delivering some nice information and content, but getting caught up in the pre-race hype. Listen up, it'll save you race day blues. Face it, you've spent the last 20 weeks training, you've been talking about it for 12 months, you've roped in the partner, the kids are probably involved, you can visualize yourself crossing this line. You are an Ironman. Voice of Mike Riley. You then start to watch Kona videos, you then start to watch videos of the race course. You can't help but get that heart rate up, that nice nervous energy. Okay, so now race week comes and it's warm generally. Summer races, European or North American, it's going to be hot or humid. You're super fresh, ideally, and you hopefully aren't unhealthy. And you've rested and you've done a 2-week taper, which is generally for an Ironman probably the wise way to go. And you now get caught up with the Ironman Expo, which generally starts on the Tuesday or Wednesday for a Sunday race. You end up walking around a lot. This is now from experience, and I see my athletes, first timers, second timers, just exhausting themselves. Then you start to add in logistics of 2 transitions. So split transition on the Saturday where you have to take your bike somewhere else and your run gear elsewhere, and all done before 1 o'clock. Try get your bags packed. So what generally happens, you need a checklist, and it doesn't have to be complicated and anal like a spreadsheet. But if you work towards your own timeline, I find this absolutely game changer. It took me years to work this out, because all your friends want to catch up for a coffee. All your friends want to go for a ride. Let's go on the course. Especially in Kona, you want to go swim out to the boat. You want to do this. You want to go to Lava Java. And when you're at your first Ironman, you want to get into the buzz, because this is what it's all about. They've built us up with the Ironman marketing, and you walk around the expo on the Friday, you're on your feet, you try out new Normatec boots, you've got to register. My best advice is to try and get there as early as possible, Tuesday or Wednesday for a Sunday race or Saturday race, depending on the time zone, but that's not what this video is about. Get registration out as early as possible, so probably on Wednesday or Thursday. Get off your feet, stay away from the expo, cancel social engagements, do your training, make sure you keep the intensity up, latest probably Tuesday, a little bit of spice on Thursday for a Sunday race, otherwise your body shuts down. Daily naps, yes, 20 to 40 minutes. No later than 3 o'clock. You will be really sleepy that week because your body's gone into rest mode. Fire up the body on Saturday, but you don't want to fire that up on tired legs when you've been walking around, caught up for social dinners, going for pasta meals. I promise you, I've just saved your race. Don't try and buy new products, test new run shoes, get caught up with the pros and photos. Dedicate the day and basically make sure Friday, 2 days before, is a real sleepy day. Last bit of massage, almost going to be a tourist away from the race and jump in the car. And if you're with your partner that's not involved in the triathlon, that's even the best thing to do. Go and absolutely do something different. Go watch a movie. I can't tell you how important it is to stop thinking about triathlon, because it's the mental stimulation that you need to try and switch off. The physical is naturally going to shut down. Everyone has their own build-up and their own taper, but generally speaking, we're all trying to do the same thing. So please, this point is crucial, and the next 2 are during the race. Moving into the race, this is my favorite part, and this took me absolutely loads of races to get right. Racing your own race. It's one of the hardest things you're going to do on race day, not the actual Ironman itself. Listen up. Ideally, before your first Ironman, you've had some advice. If not, no bother. That's why you're here on my channel, and thank you for watching this video. If it's your first time, please click on the subscribe. It really helps just build everything, and obviously I'll grow and give you as much real content as possible and make your event, your journey a little bit easier, because triathlon's been fantastic to me over the last 20 years, and I feel it's our duty as people that are involved in the community to give back. Okay, and this is the way I can do it and reach basically a worldwide audience. Racing your own race, what does that really mean? Now, if you're first timer, it's not a race. And it's actually not only really a race for the top 3 to 5 people. That took me years to figure out, guys. You think you're racing, but actually you might be racing your age group, of course, for podium spots or top 10. But overall, even if it's an age group only race, let alone a full pro field, there's only a few people actual racing. Racing is when you're attacking the front, you are very experienced, you've got very high physiology that can maintain the demands of the event. For your first Ironman, or maybe your second, you're watching this, one of the best during the race bits of advice I give everyone and my friends, if they ask me, you can only swim at a pace that you know you've managed in training. Yes, you get the extra added bonus of freshness on race day, a little bit of luck, a little bit of feet to swim on, a nice fancy wetsuit that gives you buoyancy, and you get caught up with just a really nice group. But what you don't realize, if you are pushing a bit too hard, the cost comes later down in the marathon. So one of the biggest mistakes triathletes make in the swim portion, they go out too hard in the first 100 to 200 meters. They go anaerobic. It feels fantastic. Anaerobic being above your threshold pace without oxygen, basically sprint effort. You then go into the red and you just can never ever recover based on general physiology. Okay, unless you come from a pool sprinting background, you very seldom can settle back into a very steady zone 2 pace. So that means you have to start out at a controlled, very comfortable pace. That comes down to pacing. On my beginner 70.3 video that you can find, and I'll just pop the link here now, those mistakes that you do on that distance does of course carry over to the Ironman, and I didn't want to repeat those. These are slightly different, but I touch a bit on the swim portion and pacing, and the pacing on the bike. So I really urge you to go watch that and listen to some of the key points there. It seems to be one of the most popular videos currently on the channel, which means you come out of the water not exhausted, which is crucial because that preserves your carbohydrate stores, your glycogen, your fuel, your energy. Okay, the big portion of the race, 4.5 to 7 hours, it's on the bike. It's an eating machine, it's a buffet for the run. It's not a race. Okay, if you get caught up, you're a better swimmer, you come out with stronger bikers and you try sit with them and you're going 38 to 42 k's an hour in the pace line, and you are burning through matches every now and then up a hill. Your heart rate seems okay, but the effort level is way too high. And based on your durability, which is a huge area of research right now in the endurance world, is your body's ability to sustain a threshold effort, power, pace on a run as duration goes on. So generally after 3 to 4 hours, your thresholds will drop quite a lot. So what is 180 watts in the beginning is not the same 180 watts 4 hours in for majority of people. And that's what makes professionals so good and tour riders, because their durability is off the charts. If you race your own race and stick to your pre-planned strategy with your coach, your knowledge, your ego aside, and you undercook the bike, it'll lead 99% of the time to a much better execution of your marathon. Now that comes down to fitness and conditioning and building into the marathon and racing your own race. Only then, 10, 15 Ks in, you can then potentially start actually thinking about catching people in your age group or podiuming or unexpectedly just passing people that are on paper look amazing, but they're having a bad day. So pace and race your own race. It's probably the best advice that if out of the top 5 that I would give you. The fourth one, thanks for hanging in this far, is probably one of the best bits of advice I was given. I remember a very experienced friend, ex-pro triathlete said, if you're feeling great on the bike, eat and hold back, not push and try catch more. So the fourth one is all about holding back. Listen up. If you have the confidence to trust what you did for the last 12 to 16 weeks, having looked at the evidence before the race, through your training peaks, through your training plan, looked at numbers on the bike, running, you will have a built-in trust and belief that if you bide your time, remember it's 7-8 hours plus that you're on the road for, so many things can go wrong, so many things can happen. You feel bad, you feel good multiple times. Number 4, not holding back. You've got to really, really hold back. Not so much in the swim, that's very comfortable, it's just the prelude. It's the bike, guys. Everyone I speak to and have coached for many years, very top 9-hour age group athletes and pros that I've dealt with, they do not hold back on the bike because they get caught up near the front, caught up in the draft pack, legal or illegal. Not going to go into that now. And they don't pace, which links back to number 3, but they don't realize that they're going to need that extra bit for the marathon. So really, really, when you're feeling good, that's the time you eat and bide your time. And actually, I find myself talking to myself, hands on the bars, it's a lonely 5 hours on the bike. I talk out loud to myself. I'm like, okay, Andy, check in. How's your RPE? Oh, that's feeling burning. Okay, what's your heart rate? Heart rate's fine. Okay, have you been out for 3.5 hours? Right, have you Have you dropped back on the calories? It's probably that. Is your head going a little bit? Maybe some caffeine. Tap it back a few kilometers an hour. Just reel it back in. You'll come good in 15 to 20 minutes. Remember, it's not a race. That only comes way at the back end when everyone's falling apart. So please. Next bit of best advice and mistakes people do is not holding back. Post Ironman blues. You didn't expect me to talk about depression at the back end of a video like this. This is a real thing. I didn't know about it myself. So listen up. You really need to be prepared for this. Such a big build-up, like we spoke in the beginning. And then the race day comes, it might or might not have been what you expected. Big emotion at the end. There's lots of tears normally, whether you like it or not. Sorry, boys. And then the Monday morning arrives, the Tuesday, and you feel like you have no purpose. It's actually a real thing, the Ironman blues. And you're probably smiling if you've done an Ironman and you're listening to this anyway, or you've maybe done something pretty big before, and you just get that constant sort of, wow, what am I doing now? Your sense of purpose, your sense of belonging. You are now not having an identity linking to a race day, this big Ironman that everyone's been talking about. Even the word Ironman is just, it should just be called a long distance triathlon. But you don't have something else in the diary. Because let's face it, doing another Ironman in the same season is I've done it myself. It's not the best idea in the world, but you can back up a second one, especially if you've qualified for Worlds. So of course, sometimes people do 2 or 3. Don't fall into the trap of just then waking up on Monday and booking another race. Because remember, you've got to recover and you take a couple of weeks to rebuild, and then you get back into the build up again. And it's pretty treacherous on the body, let alone what that marathon did to you. And, there were some learnings and potentially some areas you need to address. So if you know it's coming, my advice is to book something where you have some completely different type of activity, maybe some gravel riding, maybe like a social mountain bike / gravel event or 3-day event where you go do something like touring. Something, I haven't done it and I really want to do that. Personally, because it's just non-competitive. Some people book a marathon 8 weeks after, and that is one way of doing it, because then you pull back on the other disciplines. You tick over 1 or 2 swims, you hold the bike on 1, maybe 2 bikes, because that still gives you aerobic fitness. And then you don't have to do much of the running, you just freshen up, and obviously you have better legs because you haven't have it to do the volume of the bike training. I don't recommend doing more than 2 marathons in a season or a year. It's just, it catches up no matter what age you are. It's not the best for the body in terms of the trauma, and especially on the road. But try get something locked in, or think ahead to chat to your coach, think ahead, or your friends, to working on the next goal, whether it be getting in the water, doing more specific swim training for your weakness, not just bashing out mindless miles, some sort of challenge on the bike, and I've already mentioned the run. And what I normally try to do is really go back to the gym and really reinvent things in there, because you lose so much muscle mass. So please be aware of the post Ironman blues. So there you have it. My top 5 currently in 2025, the way I see triathlon evolving, a lot of first timers. If you feel you need some more help, just feel free to reach out. The link's in the description, and let's have a chat. I really appreciate you listening, watching, sharing your time if you made it this far. And I look forward to getting some more valuable content out. See you at the races.